Welcome back to the Wolves Only podcast, powered by JWFIT. Jake, you're back.
Sir. I'm back. I am back, man.
You know, the last couple, the last couple I did with Scotty, and you guys are different.
Yeah, Scotty's one of a kind, dude. He's a true gentleman, and he's very good with his words. He's explosive, man. You know.
I thought you were going to get competitive. I didn't know you were just going to, give him all the glory. It's okay.
No, I mean, I'm not too shabby.
It's okay.
I'm not too shabby.
Well, today we have a special guest. Man. Wait, what? I'm sorry, you interrupted me?
Yes, I did. I said, you've got to respect the Presidente.
Oh, yeah. Kiss the ring, bitch.
Now go for it.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Thank you for letting me go. Mike, what's up, brother?
What's up, dude? What's up, Jake?
What's up, Mike?
Man, it's going.
Dude, we're stoked to have you on here, man. You know, ever since the day we met, you've just been you've been cool. Just cool as a cucumber, man of your word always. And you took a big leap of faith coming on to JWFIT and coming on coaching with us. And we talk about you all the time behind your back. You want to hear what we say?
Yeah, go, please.
We talk a lot of shit. Sorry, I was just getting my coffee. No, I'm kidding. No, it's funny because you're one of those.
Gotcha.
No, we don't say nothing. Sorry, my wife was handing me a coffee. No, it's funny because your name comes up often as somebody who just follows process, procedure, and obviously you produce results. And we just get really stoked about whenever we see you come across our wins channel. I love watching you win. I just love it. You know, what's your experience been like so far working with us? Because I mean, I can tell you working with you, you've been an absolute delight, bro.
Yeah, dude. I'll be truthful though. You know, it's all moment to moment with me, and I'm the guy that I'll get a win and I'll settle back, and then I have to sit in this. Okay, Mike, you're what are you doing? We gotta get back on this. That voice creeps back in,
right?
Because I take a win,
which is funny to me though that you're able to do that, because to me a win is such an you're in recovery too, right?
Yeah.
My addict brain is as soon as I get a win, I'm on to the next. I need another one. I need the next one. You know what I mean? And I would feel that
yeah. And that's where I get the energy, right? I get the energy, and then I kind of go, I don't work. It's stupid, dude. I'm so stubborn like that.
Are you naturally?
And it's okay, we're not getting anywhere, Mike. Let's get back to work now.
Are you naturally a competitive person?
Yeah, dude. I played ball my whole life. In the gym, I guess, maybe, it's I had a friend, I have one of my best friends, and he got real offended one day. At some point we were working together, different trades. And, he said a comment, and he's cause he's been sober a little longer than me, but he helped me, you know what I mean? He helped me carry that message to me. And I took his lead. He told me what was going on. He was writing me letters while I was in my second term in prison. And he was talking about how he was in a shelter, this, that, and the other. And I was like, man, that sounds great. He was in a shelter sober. And I don't know why, because it just seemed like nobody wants to be in a shelter, right? But yet this guy was sober, and he was saying he was content with himself. So I'm like, dude, I'm going to that's what I'm going to do. So I got fixated on that. So years go by, we're still on this journey together, and we both got into trades. And but I kind of made this comment to him, like, yeah, bro, it's like I'm always like kind of right behind you. He got into trades first, and I got into trades after. And I meant it as a compliment. He's like, yeah, like, why are you so competitive with me? You know? And I was like, am I? You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to one up it. And maybe there is like that part of me that's never been aware of that. Like I don't know.
It is a weird.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I don't know if it's like this like awareness thing, or if it just, I guess, just naturally that's how I'm going.
Well, let's do this, Justin. Let's take us back, Mike. Take us back to early days. You know what I mean? Take us back to the beginning and where that competition may have started from. Maybe in your early years.
Dude, you know, and you know, I mean, I'll just say this: like, my first obsession with anything was basketball, and as soon as I picked that up as a kid, I was just, I'm an only child, right? So I mean, I didn't have to share anything with anybody, yada yada. But like, I would go across the street to the park and I would play basketball by myself, and I would pretend I'm having like one-on-one games. Like I would have like this Beavis and Butthead thing. Like you know, it's like it's me versus Butthead, and I would be Beavis, and then I would transform into Butthead, and it would just be all this weird stuff. But I could entertain my brain like that. And dude, like anywhere I went, even if it was like to a friend's house to play like video games, like I'd bring my basketball. Like I don't know, it was like Linus with his security blanket, and I was always like that until all the drugs came in high school. And then I got into shoplifting, and then I was like, how much more can I get away with? Like I was competing with myself in that respect, you know?
Right.
And
you kind of showed your age with Beavis and Butthead, but then you really did with Linus with his security blanket or whatever he called it.
1984.
Okay, so you're not much older than me.
Yeah. Oh, I thought
you're Jake though. Jake. No, I'm 86. Jake though. Let's talk about Jake though, because he is old as balls. Jake is.
Wow.
You are. You're old.
I'm with the oldest balls. I'm not in my 50s. You know what I mean? I'm just in the
early
stages.
I'm
the early ages of my 40s.
You're in your back nine, bro.
Hey, I'll take it though. I've got many years of experience, especially in the heavy metal.
Don't take it. Fight back, mofo.
No, I love it. I embrace it because it's about the next 20 years. Because I've already fucked off. I've already fucked off my first 20 years. Now I'm at the point of what am I doing with the next 20 years? And I'm in the best.
You're like an old sage.
I'm like an old comeback kid. You know, like we talk about.
Yeah.
I'm a vintage comeback kid. How about we go with that?
So like original all Canadian lineup comeback kid.
Minus the Canadian, yes. No offense, Canada.
No effects.
No offense, Canada.
Well, that's gonna actually. I want to get back to that because you're an old school metalhead, aren't you?
Hell yeah, he is.
Yeah. Oh, me? Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, that was like the first. Like as soon, I had many phases. I had many stages. Yeah, dude. I was a Green Day geek growing up. I was a Green Day nerd in like fifth grade. Yeah. That was my first concert in 94 after the album After Dookie, Insomniac came out. My mom took me. You know, we were all, a bunch of us kids in elementary were like trying to dress up like Billy Joe Armstrong. Like it was like a regular, like, not a Tommy Bahama, but it was like a one of those just plaid button-up shirts, but like with a stupid tie. You know, we were all like doing that. And I mean, it was like 94, 95, man. You know what I mean? Like Offspring was in. It was all over our local radio station, Live 105 here in the Bay Area.
I was just gonna say that's some Bay Area shit right there.
Yeah, dude. And then I had like a little rap phase in middle school. But dude, high school, I think I turned on, I got introduced to like Pantera and the song Strength Beyond Strength off the Far Beyond Driven album. And I was like, what is this? I was like, what is this, dude? You know? And then
So you
soon
went,
came
so you went, so
Slam.
you went Green Day. You went Green Day straight into Pantera. That's
Green
amazing.
Day, rap.
I
Pantera.
went punk rock to metal too.
Sure, I went punk rock to metal. I was originally punk rock, and then I went into hardcore and then metal later on.
Yeah,
I didn't like Green Day though.
No, I was never Green Day. I was more of that Op Ivy kind of like Rancid kind of Bay Area.
Yeah. It was always Rancid, social distortion. That's why I always tell you, like I don't get starstruck often, but when I see Mike Ness walking around, I'm always like, oh fuck, it's Mike Ness, and I'm I run into him, all like out here all the time, and it's like pretty badass.
Is he a cool dude?
Yeah, he's also in recovery.
I think.
Speaking of recovery,
Yeah.
Mike, before we hit record on this, you were saying metal and drugs go hand in hand. So I want to hear. I kind of want to hear how we've gotten into the Green Day into metal now. How did that shift into your addiction days?
Well, I'll tell you, dude. It's like all the the stereotype skater kids, right? We were all. I mean, a bunch of jocks. I don't even know, dude. I don't know if any of that really existed. It all seemed like we kind of fucked with. Can I swear on here?
Yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you want, bro.
We all fucked with each other, right? Like we all still kind of clicked up, but I just gravitated towards the skaters because we all listened to metal, and it just weed came with that. And I'll tell you, like I grew up in the Dare generation, and I had like this idea. I remember they would show us these videos, the cops, about if you're going to smoke weed, you're going to join a gang, you're going to get I remember the video. This kid was like in a park and these other kids jumped him after he hit the joint. And all of a sudden it was like next clip, he's like spray painting the wall. And then the cops come and they're like, and then they're like,
I've smoked a lot of weed in my life, and never once did I smoke weed. And I was like, I'm going to go do some graffiti.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, dude. No, that's
I don't think that
want to get jumped into a gang.
Yeah, definitely not that. But Dare was a funny, like Dare did not keep kids off drugs.
No. We were all like getting high on drugs, wearing those T-shirts.
Yeah, I was just about to say that actually. It's like it's funny because like now you see a bunch of burnouts wearing the Dare T-shirts. I love that. Yeah. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
We kind of had a similar transition though, because for me it was like my first out. Like I remember sneaking CDs. So I would like grab so my parents were really like Christian, and I would grab like a DC Talk album, which is like an old Christian band, and then I would hide like in between. I would hide like Offspring, Bush, at that time Alanis Morissette was dope, and she had a parental advisory on it because she talked about like blowing people in movie theaters and stuff. And I liked Alanis Morissette, but I liked like Offspring, and then Offspring turned into Rancid, and later on like Blink-182 became a factor. But then out of nowhere, I was introduced to hardcore. So I never listened to Pantera. I didn't even like metal. I went straight into like the first hardcore album I ever got was Ludacris. Or no, it was Zayo. It was a Zayo album. And that was like and Zayo was more metal, right? But it was like instantly like that was it. Like I was like, this is me here, right here. And Zayo was a Christian metal band. But like, you would have never thought. And then it turned into Ludacris, and then which was only like a quick phase until they became Norma Jean. Either way, I did a similar transition, but I never got into like old metal. Still to this day, I don't like. I get ridiculed on it. I do not like Metallica at all. I've listened to Pantera and I like the stuff, but it's just not really like it doesn't do much for me.
It didn't hit home.
It didn't hit home.
See,
so you started smoking pot and listening to metal too, which I was like more, I smoked weed, but it was more of a drinking thing for me was metal, it was get fucked up and fucking hit people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I say weed, like that came hand in hand. It was just not as easily accessible as a teenager. We had one bum on our main strip by the high school that would, you know what I mean? You buy him a tall can, he'll get you whatever. We had that guy, but like, dude, like I didn't have like allowance like that. Like I didn't earn it, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have money. So it was like weed was, I don't know, people would just pass weed around. And that's why I got into shoplifting. You know, it's like, well, I can't just be a freeloader. Like that's not going to go too far. So I'll bring munchies or something. You know what I mean? And then that got into liquor because I realized those black caps they put on the bottles, like those weren't alarm sensors. Like they meant nothing. I didn't realize that. I was like, oh, dude, once I get away with that, I was like, it's game over. It was just
That's
game over.
fucking funny.
So yeah, definitely like metal and drinking. Like, yeah, dude, for sure. But it all kind of went hand in hand in those early stages.
Right.
And that just seemed to be the stereotype was like if you listen to metal, if you listen to Black Sabbath, if you listen to any of these other bands, like you were just a stoner. You felt like that was what it had to be. And if I can say this early now, the big draw to you, Justin, and JWFIT, it was like, dude, look at this guy in a Danzig t-shirt, like fucking getting it, right? In the gym. And I'm like, that's what metal's missing. Like, I just felt like you don't like, you know what I mean? The fitness industry is such Nipsey hustle. Like that's all you hear. And I'm like, I don't listen to any of this music, dude. Like I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, but the intensity is like, yeah, go hit some iron, dude, and go listen to something intense. Like I get that.
Right. Heavy
And I
music,
saw
heavy
that, like,
lifting.
that was a
I
huge
was just going to
draw,
say
dude.
that's exactly what drew me into Justin. I say it every podcast, man. It literally, if it wasn't for the choice of music, the community he presented as being best friends with Brandon from Bleeding Through, that's what really attracted me as a metalhead in fitness. You don't really find that space for you in this community or in this online fitness game. But when you attract that kind of tribe, and that's what Justin did, man, it literally was like, look at these two fucking metalheads working out together. Who the fuck is that big ass ogre, dude? And he listens to
so
Comeback
funny
Kid.
to
I was
me is
I
like,
can trust this guy. Like, you know,
you know, it's so funny because like everybody told me, they're like, you need to polish yourself more. You need to, you know, you need to market yourself a certain type of way. And like, you know, you're with all the like heavy screaming music, you're going to turn people away. And I was like, I said it from day one. I was like, fuck it. I don't want them then. If they don't accept like my style and the way I do things, then I don't want to work with them in the first place. And I stayed true. I stayed true to that from like day one. I was like, I don't give a fuck if you don't like hardcore. That's what's going to be in my content. I'm not going to do, you know, Future and Nipsey Hustle and all of these. Like, I'm not going to do, I actually, I like a lot of rap. I do. But it wasn't what I wanted for the energy of my page, for my look, because it wasn't true to who I was. Yeah. And I got, you know, it's funny to me because like since we're correlating music to our addiction and stuff, it was like, I got into EDM, and I think a lot of guys, you know, that were into metal, they got into EDM. You know, I mean, you look at it like Skrillex was the guitarist of, From First to Last, or wasn't it? Or or Falling, or one of those bands, you know. And it was like a lot of like, it was a pretty common, if you go to an EDM festival, you're going to see a lot of guys with like sailor tattoos and like hardcore, like with a hardcore look, right? And I got into that, and I was like, I still do enjoy EDM, but I was like, I wasn't there because I really loved the music. I was there because I wanted to get high and I wanted to get fucked up and party and dance with chicks and stuff like that. Like, and you know, I feel like, you know, it wasn't me. And it was like a season in my life where I was always still listening to hardcore, and, but it just wasn't, it was a season in my life where it was more about like looking a certain type of way. You know what I mean? And it was like being around a certain type of people. And I thought that was like me having fun, but it turns out it wasn't the case. And I think that, you know, another big attraction is how metal music and hardcore and all of that, like if you grew up around that, if that was what you were into, it's made like it's never left. But now you see a bunch of guys our age pushing 40 that are, and like guys like Jake who are like way older, that are, that are like, like now it's like made a profound comeback. It's really, it's on a lot. It's so funny because if I'm in a storyline and I use, if I use like a Kill Switch Engage song, just for example, okay, I don't ever really use Kill Switch Engage in my stuff. I love them, but I'm way past that. And I click on a Kill Switch song, you're gonna see like other content where they're using it, and you're like, you see people like you would never expect that would be into that, using that same exact track, or like, whether it's like some dude like doing wheelies on his like crotch rocket, or some chick that doesn't look like she's ever listened to metal in her life, listening, putting that at while she does hip thrusts in the gym, or whatever. And it's like, man, like this music is so alive still, but you're seeing like a definite like switch in the demographic. Now, of course, I still go to metal shows and you see a bunch of the same fucked up fat guys pushing into each other. And I was one of those guys at one point. So I don't feel bad for saying it, but it's, there's a different vibe to it. And I do think that the gym culture has taken on to metal more so now than it ever has before. Wouldn't you guys agree?
100%. I would 100%. And I think it's been building like that. Speaking of Brandon Chiappetti earlier, I remember back when I first I met him years ago, back in the early 2000s, but when he was trying to break that gap between Rise Above and like the whole Warped Tour thing, he was setting up gyms and stuff backstage at these huge, with some of the top Memphis Mayfires and the August Burns Red. I mean, I was with him a couple of times in San Diego, like lifting heavy weight with all these other metalheads. And he was really trying to build that gap between metal music and that. So I would want to say he's a pioneer of that. But he really impacted a lot of people. Hence, now fast forward to JWFIT and Justin kind of arriving from. I wouldn't say you were brought up in Rise Above, were you though, Justin?
So my story with Brandon, we can probably save it for another podcast. Is
sure.
I maybe one will bring Brandon on here.
Yep.
I met Brandon. Obviously, I was a big fan of Bleeding Through since Hot Topic days, and and I met him. I think we played a show with him or with 18 Visions or something. It was something like that. And I'd met him, Goth Brandon. And then, and then I found out about Rise Above probably 8 years ago, but I didn't even know that it was in Huntington Beach. I didn't even know that it was in Orange County. And all the clothes said Orange County on it, but I didn't even know. I'm a guy from Michigan. You know what I mean? So I just knew that it was Brandon Chiappetti's clothing line. I knew they had a gym, but I didn't even know it was in California. I probably thought it was in Florida or something. I didn't even know. So I had like all of their shirts and stuff, and I loved it. You know what I mean? I'd tag them and everything, and once in a while I'd get a retag and things like that. And then I moved to Huntington, and I'm in the gym, and there's this big fucking dude with this long gray goatee, the Goo, Jerry.
Okay.
And I didn't even, I'd never met him before. I didn't know anybody. I just got here. It was like, I just moved here for rehab. I wasn't even going to be here for very long. And he was wearing a Rise Above cutoff. And I was like, yo, Rise Above, man. He's like, yeah, bro, I work at the gym. And I was like, wait, it's here? He's like, yeah, bro, it's like, 15 minutes away from this gym. He's like, I train here because, whatever, it's close to my house. And I was like, no way. I was like, he's like, yeah, why don't you come in and train with me sometime? So me and Jerry, the Goo, we became thick as thieves. And we're still, like, I was texting him all morning this morning, and like we're still like very close friends. Went in and met Brandon. I was like, Brandon, you probably don't remember me, man, but we met in Grand Rapids, Michigan, outside of the intersection, outside of your bus, stuff like that. He's like, yeah, man, yeah. I mean, he didn't remember me. But, he acted like he did, but he probably didn't remember me.
Yeah.
And that was like the start of a beautiful friendship. And we just started training together, filming content together. And now we're, thick as thieves. We do, events together. We do a lot of stuff together. We've been supporting each other's businesses through and through. And like I said, we'll save like all the details for when Brandon comes on here. But Mike, you mentioned that you did two stints.
I did.
So before we get to that, how bad did it get? I mean, it was the weed and the booze.
Oh yeah, then
Then
we
what?
graduated to meth at 15.
Ooh. Meth at 15.
Yes.
Ooh, god damn.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
That's young.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was at that point though, bro. I was a big time, runaway kid because it wasn't because home life was bad. I had a good home life. It was just it was not going to be tolerated in my house, at my parents' house. So
The
my
weed or
life,
the meth?
huh?
The
Anything.
weed or the meth?
Anything. Oh, no. I mean, obviously not meth, but not the weed either. I mean, I did at first, but then it was like, well, I'd rather be out looking for more weed than going home. Like, that's how my brain operated. Like, there wasn't going to be weed at home. It wasn't like I was able to go smoke weed at home, so I'm just not going to go home. And that's just what we graduated to. And then, eventually just being out there, I just met older people, dude. And this one convict guy, and I was hanging outside of a Tower Records.
Nice.
I miss record stores, dude. But yeah, and he's like, he was with his girl, and he's like, I was like, what the fuck's up with this dude? This swirly like, and then I was like, you know what I mean? I was wearing probably like a cut off Pantera shirt or something, and he looked like a suicidal tendency guy. And so we hit it off, and he's like, hey, bro, do you know where we could smoke? And I'm like, yeah, I do, because we, you always had like that friend's house where the parents were oblivious or they were just cool about anything. Well, I had a buddy, he had a cottage in the back of his parents' house where he kind of stayed. I was like, yeah, we go to my buddy's house. And then, I got so twacked out that night, dude. And I just, it was a real awakening. Like, obviously it is, but it was like, I feel like Superman. I feel invincible. That's when I started doing curls my first time ever, because there was just like a little curling bar there. And I was like, just all bad. But like, I just felt like I could do anything. I don't think I ever felt like that before, So, dude, that, like I was saying earlier, like we got into shoplifting for food and all that, dude, and I just got into this whole array of just burglarizing, So I got into burglary. I started ripping off friends and stuff, dude. Like it was just I got to that level right away. So it was just in and out of juvenile hall 9 times before I was 18, 2 different rehabs before I was 18. One I ran from in your guys' area, kind of Pasadena, and I lived out in the streets of Venice Beach and Santa Monica for 6 months.
Wow.
Lived in Bakersfield, hopped the freight train. There's some crazy stories, bro. I lived in Oildale. I don't know if you guys know anything about that town.
Nope.
North side Bakersfield.
Nope.
Yeah, don't go there. There's nothing there.
I know Bakersfield, but
yeah, well, yeah, Bakersfield in general.
How long did you hop train? I had buddies that were train hoppers. They dress up like Mad Max, and they would like just fall asleep on a train, wake up in like the mountains, like I mean, I always was interested by train hoppers.
So we were underneath the 4th Street Bridge, downtown LA, and we had no money for a Greyhound, so me and one dudes I was hanging out with, we were going to go back to Bakersfield because he said we could go stay at his dad's place. And so it was me, my friend, who had just ripped off a PlayStation 2 when those came out from a Toys R Us, and his dog, and a bunch of Bammer weed. And we found this train that stopped, and we just got underneath the platform. We weren't like in the boxcar like you hear about. There's like
most of them aren't. They're like, they're in the little bar, like braced on the bars.
Yeah, the bars that like you got the 2 box cars connected, and there's like a little platform you could kind of sit underneath it, and that's what we did. The train was parked, and we're like, oh, it's gonna go north, right? And it ended up going south. So like anyone could see you visible on that train. So we were like passing all along the like whatever in the middle of some fields somewhere. And then all of a sudden, a Union Pacific cop, like the railroad cops, like saw us at like an intersection, and we're like, dude, he pulled over the train, dude. But the train's so long, like he was coming up on this side, and we hopped out on the other side, and we're like, like he can't see us now. And then my buddy's dog started barking, and then he made us go over there. So I gave him a fake name. I'm like, yeah, dude, Mike Johnson. Thompson's my last name, and he's like, do you guys know this train was gonna go to Long Beach, and then it was going to go to Chicago nonstop, and this was like the middle of December. So nonstop. I don't know if we would have lived.
Dude,
but that's insane.
Yeah, there's
I had to fight quite a bit. I worked as a conductor for 2 years with Union Pacific, man. I had to battle you guys all the time. I had to battle you all the time.
That's what that's what my buddies were telling me. I have my friends Reese and Rusty, and they're actually pretty successful now. They do a lot with like choppers and Harleys and stuff like that, and leather goods, because they would like make like leather stuff like while they would just go and be gone for months on end. I had a guitar player, Jason, who was a train hopper like for years and years and years, and he would always tell us, he would be like, really, you'd get pulled over or you'd get pulled off a train by the train police wherever they were in whatever state they were in. He was like, it was either you either take your ass beating or you go to jail, and you just have to sit there until they just let you go. And he was like, we'd just take our ass beating, and then they would just let us roll. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are wild.
Damn. Oh yeah.
So would you say that's kind of when the fitness journey started? You mentioned a curl bar.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
No, how bad did it get? I mean, obviously we know how bad it gets, because it's either jail's death and institution. No, I didn't. Which it sounds to me like you picked one of them.
No, there's definitely no fitness involved unless I was just walking miles and miles and miles and miles. But, yeah, in Santa Monica, dude, I got into heroin. I shot heroin 5 times. This chick thought I was 19. I was like 16, 17. And she's like, you do heroin? Like, there's a bunch of street kids there at the promenade. It was like in between 2 dinosaurs. That's where all the street kids hung out. And she's like, she's like, do you do heroin? I'm like, well, I'm looking at her. I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I do heroin. And she's like, oh, let's go hang out. So I slammed heroin my first time, and I didn't. I'm fucking thank God I didn't fall in love with it. I wasn't like hooked on it. By this time, dude, it was just like I looked at it like weed, except it made me puke. I would just get really high, and then I would throw up a bunch, and I'd go, "What the fuck's the point, dude? Like, give me an upper," And yeah, I mean, just made it work, man. The whole mindset was like, I'm living the life, going to drum circles every Saturday. I had a liquor store that sold me, booze. I found out like, I could wash windows at the gas station. Like, I mean, you don't need much to be homeless out there. Like, the weather's always good. That's where I was during 9/11. During 9/11, I woke up, Palisades Park. I think that's the park that goes along Highway 1 to Santa Monica Pier. Just a really long park, but you could sleep out there. Like, cops didn't give a fuck, And I woke up, and I was like in this food line. I remember hearing about 9/11 over the radio. So I remember that day, and everyone freaking out in Los Angeles, And,
bro, you had to be like what, 17 then?
16,
probably
16. 17.
16, yeah, because that was 2001.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like 15. Wow. I was a freshman in high school.
Wow.
Yep.
Shit.
Yeah, I was a freshman for Columbine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But
it's crazy how those are like the times that we're like that stamp like where we were, like Columbine. There's been fucking 100,000 school shootings since then, and but like for some reason Columbine just really stands out to us. Obviously 9/11 was yeah. I had a weird. My 9/11 was.
They're trying to put on the Marilyn Manson kids, right, and the trench coats. That was the big thing.
Yeah, the trench coat mafia and all. Yeah, trying to blame the metalheads. You know what's funny? right before, so Columbine, I was in, like, I don't know, 5th grade, 4th grade, and we were doing a stop motion project. Which, if you guys remember stop motion, like, remember you would make like the cardboard paper like characters, and you would like move them a little bit, take a picture, move it a little bit, take a picture, and then they would move. Yes. Basically, South Park, like what South Park started as. Well, back then, South Park was obviously like huge. It was like that was like all we watched. We're a little metalhead skater kids, right? And punk rockers and stuff like that. So we were like all about South Park, right? We'd like sneak away and watch it when our parents were. So when we had the stop motion project, we made this like wicked fucking violent, like just fucked up stop motion project of like a snowman like going on a mass murdering spree. And then Columbine happened. And I remember it was like all my buddies were like in a group, for the group project in art class. And they had like all of our parents like come in, and they like showed them like the video, and it was like it was bad. It was like really violent. And they were like, your kids are. We were all good kids, I wasn't really into anything back then. I think I smoked weed once or twice, but we were all good kids, but our parents were just like appalled. They were like, what the fuck is wrong with our kids? And looking back at it, that probably wouldn't have been such a big deal if those little fucking guys didn't shoot up that school, and create a whole 100%. Thing. And then, Tipper Gore or whoever it was that like made it like a whole thing about like, metal music and Marilyn. Like, I wasn't a Marilyn Manson fan, but it was. Then all of a sudden, like, your parents are checking your video games and like all of that shit. And you're like, oh, what is this? But sorry, I just went off on that rant
no,
there.
That reminds me, dude. Like, I remember I couldn't get the Spider-Man game because it was called Maximum Carnage on Sega during that time because of the PMRC.
That's what caused you to smoke meth. Yeah, I'll show you, Mom.
Yeah, you can't let me play this video game.
Yeah, here I go.
Love you, Mom. No.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was allowed to watch Terminator 2 and all that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So, so the heroin didn't work for you?
No, I hated it. No, I mean, I think I more felt like, dude, this chick who does heroin, she's 19. I'm fucking 16, dude. Like, I thought I scored. I was doing big shit. That's what was going on through my mind. And you know why she left me was because she bought me fucking McDonald's one day. And I said, this is why I love you. And that's not a reason to love someone. And she just walked away into the night.
Yeah, you were fucked up. You were fucked up.
Fuck, man. What a dick.
So back on the street, Mike.
Me, dude, gave me high for free. She was buying me food. Like, the street kid, it means a lot when you're chose to live.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what first got you locked up for real?
Stealing my friend's PlayStation.
That got you locked up?
Because I still had Sega and I got jealous, and I was hanging out with him one night. And he went to a different high school, and funny, dude, because I just made amends to his mom like a couple months ago. I finally saw her, and because I haven't seen her since I was like 15 when all this happened. So I snuck back in the next day. I was like, well, if I just have this PlayStation, that must mean I'm cool. That's how my brain worked. It was like, if I could get in possession of this PlayStation, even though it's totally stealing, it's like backwards thinking, because they knew I hung out there the day before, and it's fucked up, bro. Because I was like, his parents invited me to their wedding. You know what I mean? Like, I was like that cool friend that he had, and but it was a trip because I did get to see her a few months ago, and kind of had a talk with her, and but yeah, so. She called the police on me and my dumbass. Well, I don't know. I mean, whatever. But I fessed up to it. And so, residential burglary. And that just led me, now I'm part of the system, and now I'm violating, I'm not going to school, you know, and it just caused this cycle for 10 years, you know, of being a
Yeah.
fuck up, just being a fuck up.
Do you think being
Yeah,
in the system is kind of what caused you to start running?
No, I would have done it anyway. Even if I had gone away with it, I was already like, this was the behavior. But now it's like, now there's consequences. Like, you're just going to go back to juvie, and okay, that's what I did, you know?
I see.
You know what I mean? But it was like, that was never the game plan. It was just like, well, I'll go back to school because I know what's right and wrong. I'll go back to school. But then somewhere between that walk from my parents' house to high school, just my mind shifted elsewhere. You know, it was just like, well, I'm back out. You know, I feel good about being out. Let's get high. Let's celebrate. What happens when I
Yeah.
celebrate? You know, it's the me show again. School's in the way. I'm not going to school today.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's always those kids. You know, they're just like you, bro. You know, and I had plenty of friends that were just like me. That, you know, we were doing the same exact thing. So it just made it easier. You know, it's like, oh,
Right.
well, I'm not going to go to class today. Yeah, I'll join you. You know.
yeah. So how
So,
long did all this last? I mean, how after that first initial trip, kind of go into, you know, what was next? What was the fall after that?
um, another residential burglary for a Dead Kennedys T-shirt from a different friend. Dude,
Fucking
so
A.
like,
Wow.
nothing monumental. Like, it wasn't. I wish I could tell you they were like cool fucking stories, but they were just
Petty shit. Just like,
petty shit, dude.
wow.
Just, you know, and yeah, you know, burglaries, violations, petty theft, stealing from Tower Records, um, and I mean, just like the dumbest things, dude. Like, I think I got caught for batteries. That's what sent me off to camp for 9 months.
Mm.
You know, like I stole some batteries that I thought I could return somewhere else, and
Nice.
just dumb, dude, just dumb. And you know, I go to camp for 9 months or 7 months. 7 months. No. Excuse me. It used to be a 9 month program. Then they changed it to 5 to 9. And I did my 5 months because I know how to fly under the radar. I know how to act accordingly. Like, I wasn't an out of whack, like, behavior problem kid. I was just, you know what I mean? I was just a drug addict, and I was his Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And once I was under the influence of something, it was just game over, dude, you know? And, but, you know, I get out, get lost again, and then just be something else. So before they sent me, because that's what happens. You go to camp as a kid. Once you get out, you're threatened with CYA, so you don't want to fuck up. And but I got caught for drugs, so I said, "Yeah, no, I'm a drug addict," and that's what sent me off to those 2 rehabs, and me running from both of them, and Bakersfield and LA. And Bakersfield was just a total crankhead. Worked on a Christmas tree lot, lived with a stripper for 2 weeks. Nothing happened. I impressed her by stealing. It was so weird, bro. I just had, I don't know, like, instead of going to prom, this is what I was doing, you know? I thought I was living that life, dude. I even hitchhiked all the way to Humboldt County. It took 10 days, you know, for a 420 festival. And I got up there, and I just became like this huge insomniac from smoking so much weed. And the weed up there was good. And, you know, the thing with me was like, the better the weed got, the worse it made me, the more I hated it. But it was just like, this is socially acceptable. People smoke weed. Like, let's go smoke weed and let's hate ourselves. Like, I didn't care, you know, like, I hated myself more when I didn't have anything in me. So, I mean, I would just smoke to the point of insomnia. I worked at a motel doing landscaping. I had a free room there. And then I eventually just got sick of that, dude. And I hitchhiked back home, and I fucking went to my mom's house on Mother's Day 2002. And they were both shocked. You know, my stepdad and my mom. And I spent the night, and she took me to juvie the next day. I turned myself in, and I got my GED. So it felt like nothing. It felt like I didn't miss anything because I was just able to get my GED, you know. And I tried going to college after that. Then I met a chick. We smoked weed, and then that, everything else got in the way again, bro. So that's all I could say was just it was just like this cycle over and over and over and over again. I didn't learn my lesson until I had my kid.
I was going to say, was that your turning point then? I mean, not to jump ahead, but
definitely my turning point. Like, this isn't about me anymore. This what I got sent off to prison because I just got in enough trouble as an adult that it was just bound to happen, and that was on 3 different bails. And my last bail was stealing hygiene and food to, what I mean, for me and my kid's mom. Like, that's the thing that sent me off. But I was on 2 different bails, one for credit card fraud and the first one for breaking into 35 cars. But I got charged for one. It wasn't strikeable, so I think it was 2nd-degree burglary. That was the first thing I was on bail for. But I just kept being a fuck up, and then so I went to prison. I didn't meet my kid. I wasn't there when he was born.
And what year was this?
He was born 2010. So yeah, 2009, 2010 I did my first term.
Got it.
When I got out, I met my kid, and I thought, this is going to be, this is about him now. It's not about me, But then 2 days later, I had a pipe in my hand, and it was 3 months of hell after that. Trying to a little baby, and I became that guy in the garage, man. If I could describe it in any way. The older I got, man, it was like I started finding out that a lot of the people I was partying with as kids and whatnot, like, they turned their life around, like they got away from it, or they got worse. But you met the older people, like in their 40s with no teeth, kids in the living room while they're partying in the bedroom, and how much I despised that. This is before I had a kid, but then it just kind of happens. And now I was that guy in the garage.
Yeah.
And I was going, fuck. Yeah, I mean, I hated everything. My world was small. I felt trapped. I couldn't just go out and do what I wanted to do anymore because I can't just abandon my kid until I finally did. After 3 months, I did. But
I think all 3 of us were the guy in the garage, weren't we? Jake, you were a guy in the garage.
I was big garage. Up until JW, man. It was, and mind you, I shared custody with my actual daughter. So we have 2 daughters. Angela's got a 10-year-old. I've got a 9-year-old. So the weekends we didn't have our daughters, it'd be the UFC fights, and they'd go into the garage and they'd just escalate all night. So I could really resonate with that, dude. It's even from my first marriage, when we owned our home in Riverside, the garage was just my sanctuary. That was just my place. It was, I don't know what it is, your man cave, I guess, but that's where a lot of depression and a lot of these voices in my head started appearing and stuff. So I could really, really relate to that, Mike. I mean, and for you saying that,
I get all cracked out. Yeah, I get all cracked out on Adderall and go out in the garage and just drink out of. We had a refrigerator in our garage, and I just slam alcohol. And I'd make projects for myself, and that way my significant other at the time thought I was being productive. I'd put together stuff she bought for the house and things. But meanwhile, I'm out there just smoking weed, doing lines, fucking drinking ungodly amounts, doing whippets, passing out in the garage, just as long as nobody bothered me and I was just getting shit done, stuff for the house. And I would go out there and hide.
Yeah. No, that's the same thing I did. I tell the story. That's how I became so good at graphics and stuff, man, is I would just kind of, and it wasn't, no bad marriages or anything like that. It was just my thing. It was just, I thought it was okay because I wasn't out partying. I was within my home, that it was okay. And it was unacceptable. 100%. Now I look back and go, what a fucking waste of time. But again, we're all here for a purpose. And those times I went through sculpted me into who I am today. So I can't really, I hate using the term. If I could go back, I would. That taught me a lot of life lessons. So it fucking was shitty. I felt like shit the next day. It wasn't an everyday thing, but I don't suggest. And I still have friends that do that, and I try and talk to them and say, there's nothing you can tell anybody in that situation until they get it out of their own head that there's more to that fucking garage. And not to sound too cheesy, but it wasn't up until I met Justin and the guys where, that's how not so long ago I was doing this. So once I found this community, I was like, my garage is clean, but I haven't been in there fucking in a year. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, it's big you to say that, Mike. God damn.
Yeah, it is contagious. This sobriety and purpose thing. When you start surrounding yourself around the right people, it definitely is contagious. Mike, what was rock bottom?
That
was
that. That, dude. Kicking the garage door in, screaming. My kid would be crying. I'd go, shut the fuck up. Like, that's just like, that's who I became. And I just, I wanted to be dead, dude. Like, because I couldn't live with that. And that wasn't even when I was drinking. Like, a drink would shut me up from all that, Like, a drink made me feel better. But I finally took off for a week, and I just had this voice come inside of me and said, dude, it's not too late. You could go to Detox. And no amount of partying that week, hanging out with my friend, didn't do anything. I turned 25, and that voice just wouldn't shut up. There was one that was like, you're a piece of shit. And the other one was like, you abandoned your kid. But the other one was creeping in like, you could turn this all around right now, and I took heed of that. I called up this Detox, and they gave me 2 hours to come in. And I said, I'll be there. And I said, great, I got 2 hours. What am I going to do? So I went to CVS, stole a bottle of Soltys vodka, paid for my chaser, walked out, and back to Linus in the bottle. Linus with the security blanket. It was me in the bottle. That's exactly how it felt, And I didn't go to Detox that night. I got arrested for my last time, but that was the deal. Because I surrendered. It was like Exhibit A or Exhibit B. It was like Exhibit A. It was
arrested for stealing the bottle?
No, for more auto burglaries, just for breaking into shit.
Okay.
I think I felt like I wanted to be caught, dude. Like I didn't know how to stop on my own. So it was like, you can stop me, cop. Like someone catch me, please.
No shit.
And that's just what needed to happen for me, bro. And like I said, I got out and I've been sober since. So that was definitely rock
bottom.
No
detox after that? Just the jail?
Yeah. No, when I got out, dude, no, it wasn't needed. I wasn't dope sick or nothing. I've never been dope sick. I have no idea what that feels like, but no, I went straight into a program. I was out for a week, started going to meetings and, in the morning, and took my last drink the day before I checked into rehab, and I haven't drank since. I haven't done anything since.
Wow.
2011.
Nice. So you got some time, man.
Bro. Yeah.
And you're heavily involved in Alcoholics Anonymous?
I'll tell you, dude, in the beginning I was, and there's definitely been a step back for a minute now. Like, I still have commitments. I still work with others. But that feeling of involvement has kind of slipped for me a little bit, but
yeah,
I know it.
I get it. I get it. It is like, I definitely should go more than I do, but I also, when we're addicts, we have fucked up ways of justifying things in your head, right? When it's like, I live my life working my 12th step. Like, I work on guys all day long, get them into detox, stuff like that. And then I'm like, but then I'm like, well, no, I need meetings. I need Alcoholics Anonymous because, and I don't have issues. Like, I don't have desires to drink or use or anything like that, but I just know that, trauma's around the corner. Tough times are around the corner, and you start separating yourselves from the room and from the men that you, and I only go to stags. I don't go to mixed meetings. I don't believe in, or I just don't like them. Not that I don't believe in them. They exist, whether I like them or not. But I just don't. I don't get anything from the stags because it's like so much peacocking and like chest pumping, and it's just stupid. But I like stags and sausage fests.
Sausage fest. That's your thing.
Yeah, I like sausage fests.
Yeah.
So, but I think we gotta sometimes wake up and check ourselves too. When we like, why would you turn your back on the hand that fed you or whatever? And
straight up.
But
see, I've never been to recovery, Justin. But your Sunday night we do recovers. Mike, you've been on those, right? I've seen you on that, right? Mm-hmm. The Sunday mornings. Those are the closest things I've come to a program or some kind of recovery thing. And I mean,
recovery would imply that you were like, recovery you would be in, right? You had a problem and now you're not. But like when you work a program, like if you work Alcoholics Anonymous, which in my opinion is the best way to go. It's not for everybody, but it could be, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It could be, but there's certain things that you get out of rehab treatment, whether you do like cognitive behavioral therapy. That never worked for me, retreats, stuff like that. And they talk about it in the big book, like, we've tried it all. Yeah. None of it really ends up working. And like being sober off of just pure will is really hard. It really is. For a long period of time, it really is hard. So they talk about this like spiritual awakening, and it's done by working the steps, by righting your wrongs, by disclosing all the things. And I get that. Like I did get that. I got that when I went through my steps, and it definitely felt like you graduated mentally in a lot of different areas. So I did appreciate it for that. But at the same time too, it's like, I really, and I'll get ridiculed by anybody that knows me from Alcoholics Anonymous in this. There's some meetings that are just so like I don't leave feeling better. I leave feeling bad for everybody in there. And a lot of times I look at these guys and it's like, sobriety is all they have. That's it. They're fucking fat as shit. Their relationships aren't any better. They have tax problems. They have like all these other problems, and that's okay. The problems don't go away when you get sober.
Sure.
But how you deal with the things that are in your control, because that's what this is all about. And like, suddenly it's like, okay, I can stop from putting a bottle to my mouth, but I can't stop from putting the fucking cheeseburger to my mouth.
Right. Absolutely, brother. That's it right there.
So in your coaching, your avatar, I would assume, is guys in recovery that we're the exact guy that we're talking about. And, and it's like, there's no shortage of those men.
Not at all. Not at all.
And I don't mean I assume. I know your avatar, but that's
what anybody could right now in recovery. Go figure.
What's that?
Half the guys I'm coaching are in recovery.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
It's
honestly your safest bet, because they're always like, they always do. Like, because the funny thing about especially alcoholics is they give up the alcohol, but sugar becomes their addiction because their body's used to processing alcohol, which turns into sugar. And they put on a shitload of weight when they stop drinking, if they weren't already fucking fat from being soft and shitty from the alcohol itself. But your best bet is honestly, like, you'll never have a shortage of clients when you work with alcoholics,
right,
and drug addicts, because it gets worse and worse. The only thing that's actually stopping the growth of potential in that avatar is fentanyl, because that's just killing people.
Yeah, one of my close brothers died last year from it.
Yep.
Yep.
It's funny because I had a client that I was onboarding from Alcoholics Anonymous from one of my meetings. and he was like all in, ready to go. And I got on a call with him after the meeting. I saw him the night of the meeting. I got on a call with him the night of the night after the meeting, and we just went over how everything worked. He was like, "Yep, I'm in, man, totally in. Send me an invoice. I'll get it into you right now." I sent him the invoice, nothing. And I was like, this motherfucker, like, a lot of these people, they're all good to go until money gets involved and they puss the fuck out. And I'm like, yo, bro, you're going to be one of those guys? Like, I didn't take you for one of those guys. I kind of gave him a hard time via text. Next morning, my sponsor calls me and he's like, yo, so-and-so died last night. And there was a lesson actually from this, because immediately I took responsibility. Immediately I was like, fuck, I was hard on him. I pushed him over the edge. I made him relapse. And my sponsor said, Justin, you're not that powerful. And I was like, oh, I needed to hear that. Yeah. And it's funny because several months later, my dad had called me about him feeling bad about a situation inside my family that he refused to help out with because, quite frankly, it's not his responsibility anymore, but everybody goes to him for everything. And he was like, man, but what if, he called me, and he doesn't usually call me about this kind of stuff, but he was like, he felt bad because he refused to help in this situation. He's like, well, what if it leads to this, that? And I'm not going to get into the details. And I literally turned that around and I said, Dad, and my dad is very intense. He's just like me. I'm just like him, but like, he's very intense. And I said, Dad, you're not that powerful. Mm. And right then he was like, tell me that again. Wow. And he's like, I need to hear that. He said, nobody's ever told me that before. Everybody's terrified of my dad. Fuck. And it was like, these lessons, these are the things that we learn in Alcoholics Anonymous. This is the stuff that brings us, closer. And I believe that, like, you probably got that servant's heart from your 12th step, right? So I'm assuming that's why you really got into coaching. I don't think it had anything to do with the fitness.
There's a lot of correlation with sponsorship in this coaching, right? You want to help others. The before and afters, man. That's what, because I know what it did for me. And if I could talk about this, how I got into fitness is pretty much when I was living in my clean and sober house, and one of the guys I was living there, one of my good buddies up to this day, he was ripped, dude. He was fucking ripped. And he was doing competitions, but he was still on crack. Like, he was still doing, like, there's a bunch of people in these clean and sober places that are still partying. Like, don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? But he like pulled that off somehow. And I was like, dude, you can look like that. And he was smoking a cigarette, right? I was like, you can look like that and smoke cigarettes? He's like, yeah, you shouldn't. And I'm like, that's all I need to know. I'm getting a gym membership. Like, I just thought that, like, I don't know, like, if you smoke cigarettes, there's like no way you could eat good and look rich. Like, I had, so I mean, it's not the healthiest motive, but fuck the motive, right? It's like that. I can still kind of, treat myself, whatever, and I could go work out. Like, I just thought it was impossible if you smoke cigarettes, and I found out it wasn't. So I got a gym membership right away, dude, and then, of course, I just fell in love with that feeling, dude, and it enhanced my life. I find meditation in it. I find spirituality in it, getting the endorphins going, whether I'm pumping or I'm running. I've done it all, dude. I ran a marathon. I pump
Still
weights,
smoking cigarettes?
During the marathon, no, I wasn't smoking cigarettes. No.
That would be fucking hilarious. See some guy like with a cigarette running a marathon hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah,
that's fucking funny.
School, like soccer players, like the old school soccer players, like they smoke and they're like fucking kicking this, like in other countries and stuff. I'm like, how do they do that, man? How do they do that?
Yeah, you can still get jacked and smoke cigarettes.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. So I mean, Yeah, that's only got me into it, man. I just traded one thing for another, but a healthy one.
Yeah.
A healthy one.
So what made you get into coaching, and how'd you find me?
That was my
question. I had my own transformation, and I didn't know, for the longest time, I did everything. I tried eating right. I would starve myself. I would binge in the middle of the night, though. I thought I was eating enough protein. I'd look up different books. I would read books and neglect the nutrition. And then until finally, I hired accountability. I hired someone because I saw another friend of mine that got ripped years later. And I was like, what did you do? And he told me about this coach. So I fucking hired this coach, man. And he told me what to eat. He gave me the breakdown, and I just fixated on it. And then just through that process, just the progress was coming and coming and coming. I was losing and dropping the fat and losing the weight. And I was like, holy shit, this is working. Wow. And I was like, how many people, we see it all the time in these gyms. People work out. I see people all the time that look exactly the same, if not worse, year after year. Same people I've been seeing for a decade now. So I was like, people need to know about this. That's what got me into it. Like, I want to help these people because I know it's not fun. I know you just get the daily feeling of going to the gym. Like, you're going to feel good for that moment, but like, but like, I always had like that tub of fat right here in my armpit, or I was like beating on my love handle. So I'm going, what the fuck am I not doing right? I got to do more obliques. I got to take a cable and do this. Like, I do anything but eat right, bro, basically. And that's what people need. Like, people need to know that. And I want to help people do that. At least bring the awareness, because people are just lying to themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
And a lot of the people in the rooms, bro, are just probably going, well, at least I'm not smoking meth anymore. At least I'm not living that life anymore.
They don't know how good life can get.
Yeah, dude. And sure, they could be doing a whole lot of stuff. They could be in a whole lot of service for other people, but people are not attacking that self-esteem issue with themselves,
Yeah.
And so that's what I totally get what you're saying. It's like people are just, they live in sobriety. They live in the meetings. And because it's almost like a distraction at some point from themselves. Like, the more service you do, the more you get outside yourself. Like, that's hands down for sure, right? But I don't know, man. It's like, it's a distraction in some ways. I think a lot of people with a lot of time has self-esteem issues, and I pay attention because a lot of people with a lot of time still go out, and usually they come back. They don't come back. And here's the one thing people neglect: they don't know how to eat. Fellowship means cake every fucking time. There's always some excuse to it, every time, dude.
Mike, how long have you?
Oh, go ahead, Jake.
I was gonna say, how long have you been in JWFIT now?
I've been with you guys for 3 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. What were you gonna say, Justin?
So it's funny because we got on a call with him, and then like he stayed in contact with us because he was putting together some funds and whatever, and then we were like, normally we're like, all right, we'll never talk to these guys again, but Mike just stayed right with us. He never went anywhere, and out of nowhere, he's like, "Yep, I'm ready to go." I'm like, "Holy shit, this guy just came out of the blue. Let's go."
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I brought that question up too, is how long, because I know the first month you were kind of struggling there, kind of finding your niche and kind of like just discovering shit. And then it just seemed like all of a sudden you were on every phone call. You were involved in everything we threw out at you. And I know you and I have had many, many fucking discussions as far as content and just building that brand. And I think, talk about kind of your shift now from seeing these wins that you're popping up. It seems like a lot more now. What do you think was the pinnacle? What was that point when you just kind of shifted? Was it just kind of like putting yourself out there a little bit more, overcoming your objections and fears? Or tell me about that.
Just stop giving a shit.
Bucking
Like,
it.
I just been putting out stuff lately, especially with the contest we got going on about pain points. I'm just like, fuck it, dude. Let it rip. You know?
Let it rip.
Let it rip.
That's the best. That's the best way to go, is just fucking go and don't stop. Like, pedal to the metal, fucking rip and don't stop. Like, I don't, you know, it's funny because I was on the phone with my web designer today, because I'm about to launch a new site that's going to be mind blowing. And he made my first site ever. And he's like, bro, you don't miss. You never miss. He's literally watched me every single day for like the past 2.5 years. And he's like, I do not understand it. I do not know how you don't miss. And I'm like, this is purpose. I enjoy this. This is my purpose. And I literally leaned into the fact that I'm an addict and this is what I'm addicted to. And I've traded my addiction, because we're always going to do that, right? Like, we know we're our addict minds. We trade our addictions, you know, whether if we're in substances, it's like, well, you know, I got the most gnarly hangover from vodka, so I'm just going to drink beer moving forward, or, you know, or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, I traded my addiction towards helping others. And then when I was like, wow, I'm doing this really well. And, you know, I kept doing that, but it became really easy. So it was like, now I want to start scaling businesses. And now this is like my full blown addiction, and it's been this way. And this is where like, I'm like in love with this. Yeah. Like, this is like, I love working with coaches, because in turn, like, my footprint's bigger, you know, and it's been the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my entire life. And to watch guys like you, like, just, you know, level your life up and continuously succeed. And I love, like I said, I love watching you win. I love watching you win. It's so, like, because there was just so much trust that we had for each other right away. You know, right after, like, you know, you had to arrange some things, and then you came back. Yeah. And it was like, right then I was like, I trust this guy, because nobody does that. Right? Nobody does that. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm in. And then they get off the call and like, they're like, something comes up, and then it's like, they start doubting and all that. You were like, fuck this. I'm going all in. If I'm not mistaken, you went all in. Like, you fucking
all in.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like, I just absolutely, and now I'm looking back, and you've told your whole story, and I didn't know all those details. And I'm like, this motherfucker goes all in no matter what it is.
Yeah, whether it's disastrous or not.
So now that we're going all in, we've been talking to all of our coaches about this, and it's like, fuck goals. We're not going to set ceilings. We're not going to do anything like that. But what can I expect from you this year moving forward?
More attendance, more fuck it's. I'm just going to put it out there. More dialogues, more outreach, more just being me.
Okay, that's the exact answer.
That's it.
Stop fucking overthinking it. That's my problem.
Stinking thinking.
Yes. That and the overthinking. Analysis paralysis, whatever you want to call it. There is a ton of that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be like, fuck it, man. This is who I am. Here we go.
My life changed when I stopped thinking. It really did.
Yeah.
But you got to, this is the thing about thinking. Okay. You have to put yourself in a position to where you're so confident in your day to day, right? Your routine. You put yourself in that spot where you are so confident in your routine, because what your routine does is it's constant progressive acts, right? And you continuously do that over and over and over again, to the point where thinking is completely out of the equation. I don't fucking think. I don't have to anymore. I know my process. I know my routine. Thinking is completely out of the equation. Pointless. I've done so many right things in a row that I know I'll just rinse and repeat.
Right.
If I want to excel, I'll just do those same things, but bigger. Take the same risk, but bigger. Because it works. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Mike, where can listeners find you and how would they get a hold of you?
I'm on IG all day at _fit.
No remorse _fit. Hell yeah, bro. This was fun. I like learning about you. You know, I like I said, I absolutely adore you, dude. I think you're an amazing dude. I love your attitude. I love that you're a metalhead. Your demeanor, just everything about you is just, even sober, you're like, this guy's a good time. This guy's a really good time.
I was like, I gotta arrange this together, but I was like, I was already sold. Like, I didn't even need to go through your process. I was like, I see this guy, I'm sold. You know, yeah.
Fuck yeah,
bro.
Yeah, but I gotta make it down to OC, man.
Hell yeah. So thank you guys for listening. And if you like this, like, comment, save, share, whatever the fuck, just do it. Subscribe for more. We're going to be putting a lot of these out there. Go check out Mike at _fit on Instagram. We'll drop his handle down in the description of this. Thank you guys for coming on the Wolves Only podcast, powered by JWFIT. Come see us on Instagram just come to my Instagram at Justin Wenzel. No periods, no underscores, just at Justin Wenzel, straight up. I paid big fucking money for that name. So come on. And we'll see you guys later. Jake, thanks for being on too today. You know, I like ripping on you. All right.
Yeah.
Good night. All right, guys, that wraps up an episode of the Wolves Only podcast powered by JWFIT. Listen, if you guys like what you heard, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like and comment, help us get our message out there. If you want to work with our team, go ahead and click the link in the description below. Schedule a call with us. We'd love to get you on. We really appreciate you guys listening. And if you have any other questions, you can reach out to us on all forms of social media. Thank you so much.